Hello you beautiful creatures, how the devil are you? I hope you're okay. If you're new here, my name is Lou, or Lucifer as my friends like to call me. By my friends I mean my Instagram account. Doing the intro didn't make this video any easier, and I have been trying very long and I've been thinking a lot how I would start this video, and there was honestly no easy way to start this. I was actually thinking about doing this video next year because we're going to download, fingers crossed, touch wood, everything and everything. Yes, we're going to download, and I was going to do this video for next year to prepare everybody for the festival season. However, in light of current situations, with the Travis Scott concert incident, I felt that this was important. I don't want to go on too much about it. It shouldn't have happened. It really shouldn't have happened. As somebody who's a veteran with festivals, with gigs, you know, I've been doing this since, gosh, 2013, I think. Yes, 2013. I've never experienced anything like this. I've never known anything like this. I will take an example from myself. When I went to my first download festival in 2013, we had Slipknot as one of the headliners, and Corey actually stopped playing because we broke the barrier like the party animals we are, but he refused to keep playing until the barrier was up and we were all safe. There are plenty of other videos. There's a TikTok going around at the moment of different bands, different musicians stopping their gigs to make sure everybody is safe. Everybody who needed to get out of the situation got out and they were all okay. And knowing that children were involved, it breaks my heart. It really does break my heart. Again, with download, you know, seeing all the kids that come to download, seeing all the families, like the thought of anything happening to one of them absolutely tears me apart. So I send out massive condolences to the friends and families of the victims who were involved. I'm so sorry that happened to you. However, it happened. We can't change anything. All we can do is learn from our mistakes, and hopefully something like this won't happen again. And in light of the situation, I feel it is important, certainly from content creators, certainly from people who have been to gigs, festivals, concerts before, to potentially give some tips about how to stay safe at gigs, how to prepare yourselves for gigs, festivals, concerts. This video is going to be very broad. It's going to be a very, very broad video. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that this positive kind of comes out of the negative. I don't want to dwell too much on what happened. I really, really don't. It was a horrible thing that happened, but hopefully we can all kind of come together and we can create a safer environment for more festival goers, for more gig goers, certainly younger, you know, new people who would like to come to festivals, who would like to come to gigs. If they're feeling a bit anxious now because of what happened, I hope that this kind of video can put those worries to bed. So I have got a lot of pointers. I've got lots and lots and lots of pointers. You know, going to festivals from 2013, I've had a lot to pick up on, and I have learnt a lot in my long time of going to different kinds of gigs. It physically hurts me how many I've been to, but I wouldn't change them for the world. So I'm going to throw in a couple of personal experiences. I'm going to try and make these points as brief and to the point as possible, but this is pretty free-flowing just so I can make it as organic as possible. I hope that's okay with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first point I'm going to make is research your band. And what I mean by that is some bands have heavier crowds than others. what I mean by this is, say for example, I'm a massive Ghost fan, as you can probably tell by my t-shirt. I am also a massive fan of, well, not as much as I used to be, but I really enjoyed listening to Five Finger Death Punch. Now, the audience for Ghost is going to be completely different for the audience for Five Finger Death Punch. So what happened to me, and it was nobody's fault. I was at the front for Five Finger. I don't know how I got there, but we got there, and I was really proud of myself for getting to the front. We'll talk about the front later. Anyway, we were jamming, having a good time. Anyway, someone's crowd surfing behind me. They have New Rocks on, and they smack me straight in the back of the head. I am concussed. It was a horrible time. I nearly threw up, but thankfully security got us out in time, and we were okay. We didn't really enjoy the rest of the day because we didn't feel very well, but again, it was nobody's fault, and we followed all the protocols. We got security involved, they got us out, and everything was all bueno. Everything was all good. As opposed to Ghost, when I was at the front for them, there were hardly any mosh pits. There were hardly any crowd surfers. And I'm not sure if that's because we went to a gig as opposed to a festival. However, I've never seen in a video for a Ghost gig, whether they've been to a festival or anything like that, the crowd has never been too intense. What I'm going to do from now on, when I do go to gigs and when I do go to download again, when I've been listening to a band, I am going to rate the intensity of the crowd for you guys, and I really hope that helps. But my point is, research the band you're going to see. Watch YouTube videos if you can. YouTube videos are a godsend, and I'm not just saying that because I have my own YouTube channel, but 9 times out of 10, if you look at how the crowd behaviour, so the intensity of the mosh pits, the circle pits, how involved the crowd are, you can kind of gauge how comfortable you would feel at the front, or if you think it's too much, kind of bring yourself to the back. There is no shame, and I'm going to reiterate this all the way through the video, there is no shame in not being at the front and not being in mosh pits. At the end of the day, your safety is all that matters. So my first tip, always research into your bands and kind of gauge it on what you see. Speak to people as well. I'm a part of the download group, which is really nice. Everyone seems really lovely. There are a few not so great people, I digress. But if you like to query in those groups, just say, hey, has anyone been to a gig for so and so? How have you found the crowds? Just wondering because this is my first time. 9 times out of 10, people are more than happy to help you. The next one is familiarize yourself with the venue, with the festival, with the gig. It is so important, particularly if you suffer with anxiety. Usually on the website for a gig, so for an arena, for a theatre space, for a festival, they will have a plan of the whole area, so you can kind of gauge where you want to go, where your safest place is, where you feel you can meet up with friends, so on and so forth. I'm going to link this in with another point later, but it just means that you're more well equipped and more familiar with the area you're going to, with the space you're going to. When I first went to download, I kind of had a bit of a shock to the system because I'd never been to a festival before. I was also a young teenager, so it was all very, very intense for me. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't research enough, and because of that, I spent the day the first day not really enjoying myself, but being more panicked about what was going on. Whereas if I'd researched a little bit more, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. So I hope that makes sense, but I think that one is really important. Yeah, familiarize yourself. This is important. Don't be afraid to sit at the back, stand at the back, or sit in the seats. And what I mean by that is, take Alice Cooper for example. So he's kind of aged with his audience. All the areas now have seated. They're all seated basically, so even on the floor it's seats, and it is the most relaxing experience I've ever had in my life. But this is more for a monetary kind of situation for us personally, but we're usually sat up in one of the tiers. I would very much like to be sat on one of the floor seats in future, just because when he does sing Billion Dollar Baby, he gets all the money coming down, and I need that money in my life regardless. If you know that you really enjoy a band that's going to be intense and your anxiety is just like screaming at you that this is not a good idea to stand in the floor area, please don't be afraid to use the seating or stand further at the back at a festival. They do have screens halfway up the field, so you can still see, you have a fantastic view. This is an important one, particularly for the older generation. My dad is concerned, because he'd very much like to go to Download, he's concerned about standing and sitting and this, that and the other, and I've just said, look, you know, just take a seat with you, you're still going to have the same experience, just enjoy yourself. I took him to AC/DC and I held him up for half of the gig because he just had enough. So, you know, it's not fun for anybody. If you're uncomfortable, if you're not enjoying yourself, you can still have just as good a time if you sit further back, if not more sometimes, because you haven't got that stress of like every Tom, Dick and Harry being surrounded around you and making it uncomfortable and making it sweaty. And yeah, please don't be ashamed or afraid to sit further back for your own well-being, physically and mentally. Stick with at least one person for your first trip. When I first went to Download, we went in a group. However, we didn't necessarily go with people that I knew overly well, so we basically split off, and because it was my first time, I was panicking. I was absolutely terrified about what was going on, so I stuck with my friend, luckily, throughout the whole experience, and it made it so much better. Now I'm more experienced, I feel more comfortable standing on my own. I've done it for plenty of bands at Download. You wouldn't be able to guess, but I have terrible anxiety, I really do. So talking to people around me has been a chore, it really has. But now it really helps, really helps. That's another point I'll get onto. But having that one person with you, it makes the world of difference. I really wouldn't recommend going to a gig on your own for the first time, for your first gig. If you are, I would recommend going in the seating area. Go into a couple of the music groups as well. If you just put out, hey, this is my first gig, I'm not feeling necessarily comfortable about going on my own, is there anybody I can meet up with? Are there any like-minded people who are also going on their own? A lot of friendships are made by going to music gigs, they really are, and it's beautiful to see different people talking about their different stories about meeting their friends at like Download, V-Fest, any festival, any gig. It really is heartwarming, so don't feel like you have to go alone. Even if you're going with somebody you don't really know, kind of build up that rapport with them, build up a relationship with them, and go with somebody. I implore you, for your first experience, please go with somebody. So this is leading on to something else I mentioned. If you do find yourself alone, build up a relationship with the people around you. This is particularly important if you are going to see some of the heavier stuff. So when I went to Download again, this is going to be very Download heavy, very sorry about that. When I went to Download, I wanted to see Kiss. They were headlining, but we had Faith No More. No, how did it go? No, I tell a lie. It was Faith No More, then Muse were headlining. However, because the people I was with, they didn't feel too hot, they wanted to leave, I was basically left on my own. But I got chatting with these other people around me. Turns out they started going when it was Monsters of Rock. That was really cool. They gave me a history lesson. I loved it. They basically adopted me as their child, and by the time we hit to Muse, it was it was intense. The crowd was intense. I've never seen so many 14-year-olds moving together simultaneously. I nearly lost my ankle that day, I really did, and it's fractured as it is. But because I'd made those kind of connections with people around me, I felt safe, we were holding on to each other, and it was a lot more enjoyable. So if you do find yourself on your own, 9 times out of 10, the people around you, they don't mind you talking to them because they're here to see the same thing as you, and they want to share that passion with other people. They probably want to make friends as well. So don't be afraid, just start a little bit of a conversation, and more often than not, you're fast friends by the end of the night, and you end up protecting each other, and it's just a wonderful experience. And I don't want to go into gender roles, but I'm going to have to, particularly if you're a woman and you've got quite a lot of men around you. Build up kind of that rapport, and you know you're safe, particularly if you're a woman that's on your own. There's nothing scarier than being on your own with all these people around you. There really isn't, but it makes the world a difference. Know your boundaries. Now this is a big one. It's so easy to get swept up in the whole vibe. It really is. You know, you're finally going to see the artist that you've wanted to see forever. You've finally got those tickets, and you're finally standing there waiting for that artist. However, you start to notice that your energy levels are waning, your social battery is waning, you've got the onset of a panic attack. Any of those situations, they do happen. Don't push yourself. Please don't push yourself. For instance, there was this poor girl. She had been at the front since the start of the day. Now, if you're going to a festival and you're wanting to be at the front for the headliner, 9 times out of 10 you have to stay at the front until the end of the night. That's a whole day. Like, that's a whole day of standing and keeping your spot, and it is not an easy feat. It got to midday and she was on the verge of passing out, and I thankfully had a granola bar with me or something, and I gave it to her, and it made her feel so much better. She had to leave halfway through the headliner because she was so weak, she was so done, she pushed herself to the limit. It was really sad to see. So please, please, please know your boundaries, know how far you can go, how long you can go. You know, prepare yourself. I didn't start at the front. No one ever does start at the front at their first gig, festival, whatever. If you do, you are very lucky, and I'm proud of you. I really am. But it's just as enjoyable watching from the side, watching from further back, learning the ropes. Use your first gig, your first experience to learn the ropes. Don't push yourself to get in with the big boys, because the people at the front, most of the time, they are veterans. They know what they're doing, and they can smell a newbie. They really can. I was very much the same when I first started. They knew I was a newbie. I made the mistake of oh gosh, how did it go? I think it was 30 Seconds to Mars and then Rammstein, and all the 30 Seconds to Mars fans wanted to get in front of the Rammstein crowd. You just don't, and I have learned to accept that, and now I'm more of a Rammstein fan than I am of 30 Seconds to Mars. Who knew? But my point is, learn first, and then kind of push yourself a little bit more with the next gig and the next gig and the next gig. Please just look after yourself. The next one, and this is a biggie, keep your phone charged. Please keep your phone charged. There are plenty of options. You can get power banks at festivals. They do have an option where you can go and charge your phone. However, it is money. I think it was £10 to charge your phone, to take a power bank and charge your phone and then bring it back. No. You can find plenty of power banks on Amazon, in tech shops, in Argos, anywhere. Don't get caught up in buying a power bank at a gig or a festival, because they will rob you blind. But you need that phone. You really do. There have been so many times where my phone has been on the cusp of dying, and I've needed to get in touch with my friend to find out where they are, to find out where we're meeting up, to find out when we're going home. It is so important. These places are big, they are real big, and there are a lot of people, so it's easy to get lost. It is so easy to get lost unless you know that arena, that venue, like the back of your hand. It's really not easy. That was one of the biggest mistakes we made when I first started going. Yeah, that's all I've got to say on that one. Please just keep your phone handy, keep it charged, make sure the person with you has got their phone charged. Sometimes if you turn your phone off whilst the band's going on and then you turn it on, that's another way of conserving your power. Please go into battery saving mode as well. That's a really good way of saving your power. Turn your brightness off as well. That also saves your power. So yeah, charge your phones, guys. Meeting place, yes, this is one of my favorites. This is one of the oldest tricks in the book. Before you do anything, find a meeting place. We had an ice cream van, for example, so we had the main stage here, and on the right hand side there was an ice cream van. If we got lost at any point in the day, we always knew at the end of the day, in the evening, that's where we'd all meet up. So always have a meeting place for after bands are finished and after the event is finished, because it will be a massive lifesaver. This is just a little one. Know your exit. It's not a plane, but it's important, because me and Gareth were talking about another gig. I think it was in France, I wasn't too sure. There was a rush, there was a huge rush, something happened and people just froze. They really did just froze. In the event of an emergency, plant your feet on the ground, have people with you and walk as one, walk as a team. People panic, people really do panic, and they just want to get to the exit as fast as possible. So please, before you go to a gig, a festival, wherever you're going, figure out where your exits are. Go on the website that the gig's being held at, and it should give you a floor plan, it should give you a space plan, wherever it is, and it will tell you where your emergency exits are. Come up with a plan as well if you need to. If you're really worried about it, come up with a plan with your friends or who you're going with, because then you'll be prepared if worst case scenario happens. These worst case scenarios, I'm really trying hard not to scare you, they don't happen often. So when something like the Travis Scott concert happens, or any other kind of concert, unfortunately we had the issue with the Manchester concert as well. I think it was Ariana Grande, I think so. Yeah, that was awful, but don't be caught out. Know where your exits are. Now this is a big one. Look after your items. Please look after your items. Incidentally, I use my bra to look after my items. I very rarely take a lot in with me, because I'm a big girl and I like going more towards the front now. I am very conscious about what I'm taking with me. Usually I have my phone and that's it, nothing else. I recently, and it's very naughty, I've recently put my card on my phone so I can pay with my phone now. So some festivals don't do that. They want cash. You're gonna have to bring your wallet with you. So I usually keep it in my bra. However, if you don't want to do that, if you have got secure pockets in your clothing, yeah, by all means, go for it. Bum bags are wonderful. They really are wonderful. Just make sure you get a good one. Make sure you get a sturdy one, because if you are going to the front, or if you are thinking about going into a mosh pit, 9 times out of 10 it goes missing. So they have got the chest strap ones as well, so just prepare yourself for that situation. But please, it is so common for people to lose their phones, to lose their money as well. I don't take drinks in with me. If I'm gonna have a drink, I will go out of the crowd, I will go and have my drink and then come back in. If I'm going to have a shopping day, now this is mainly for festivals. If I'm going to have a shopping day, I will keep my my bag, you know Raymond, you know him very well. I will keep Raymond, and I will keep the front of Raymond here, so Raymond's basically looking out, and I've got the straps here because then he's safe. I've got him covered. It's all down to you. If you've got a really good bag or a rucksack or anything like that, use that, but it is at your discretion at the end of the day. The gig, the venue, the arena, it can't be held responsible for you losing your items. If you do go to security, sometimes they will have lost items with them. That's mainly for campers though, because things go missing all the time apparently. Which really scares me because we're going to do RIP for the first time next year, so pray for me. Now this is another big one. Mosh pits, circle pits, whatever you're doing, whatever they are, they're not the be all and end all. They're really, really not. They are very overrated. People will fight me on this, and I perfectly understand that. I understand the rush of getting into a mosh pit in the middle of one of your favourite jams. It is an experience, it really is. Trust me, I've been a part of plenty. I've also protected people from a lot of them. I'm a big girl, you can understand why I protected people from them. My point is, now this, when I first went to my first download festival, the people I was with, they were going on and on and on and on and on, and like, oh, you got to get into a mosh pit for your first time. Besides the point, I didn't feel comfortable doing it, therefore I didn't seek a mosh pit. The mosh pits found me. So if you are going to a heavy metal gig, like a rock gig or something like that, you don't have to worry about mosh pits, because most of the time if you're at the front, they will find you. If you want to guarantee not being anywhere near a mosh pit, you've either got the back, try the sides. So I know with download you've got the barricade in the middle where some of the artists come down. The side barricades are phenomenal for that. They really are very, very good. Or you've got the front, right at the front, because you're holding on to the barricade again, so they can't really take you with them. If you are with a smaller person, by all means you can guard them. So what I used to do, I used to have my smaller friend in front of me, and I used to hold on to either side of the barricade. I'm very honoured now that Gareth does that for me. He looks after me instead, so that's always really nice. Protect you guys, protect your girls, protect your children. Oh, this has gotten very different. This has turned. Protect each other. Mosh pits, again, if you don't want to be a part of a mosh pit but people are pressuring you, you really need to question the people you're going with, because if they can't respect that you have boundaries, I'm just saying, and I'm just throwing that out there, you should consider who you're actually going to the gigs with, because if your safety isn't one of their #1 priorities, forget it. Just flat out forget it. You're not weak, you're not stupid, you're not any less of a man, any less of a woman. If you don't go into a mosh pit, you're not. I find it more metal that people respect their safety than going into a mosh pit when they don't want to. If you want to go into a mosh pit, have fun. They look amazing, they are amazing. It's a different experience. The mosh pits I have been a part of, they've been phenomenal, because if anyone has fallen, everyone will stop, pick that person up, and then continue and make sure they're safe. The etiquette, the festival etiquette, is wonderful. It really, really is. However, not everybody follows that, so just be mindful who you're going with, whether you want to do it or not. It's, you know, don't do it if you don't want to. And that's me telling you. So if I see any of you at download, and if I spot any of you in a mosh pit and you're visibly looking uncomfortable, I'm coming after you, okay? Okay, so this is another big one. Should you be at the front? You have made it till the end. The headliner is coming on. You're so excited and you can't wait, but it's too much. Now, how do I put this? When a headliner comes on, that's who everybody's there for, and there will be a surge. Without going into sensitive territory, there is a surge. It's intense, depending on who the headliner is. If it's classic rock, it's not nearly as intense as new rock, as heavy metal, you name it. So for example, a Slipknot Rush is completely different to Whitesnake or Kiss, just because of the type of audience it's aimed at, the age of the audience it's aimed at. The surge can be different depending on the different band. So if it gets too much, security are amazing. They really, really are. If you wave your arms, shout, do whatever you have to do, let the people know around you that you want to leave, because they too can start making big arm movements, particularly from the taller blokes. Big arm movements are your friends. They really, really are. Shouting, security are amazing. They just want to make sure you're safe. They will help you out. So please, please, please don't panic. It's so easy to panic. It's so easy to panic. My first year Slipknot, I panicked. I really did panic. It was amazing because I got closer to the band, but it was still, I felt like I was being picked up and moved forward. I wasn't in control of it. So I'm going to pre-warn you. I'm going to, address the elephant in the room and say you need to look after yourself. You need to have a plan. If you're panicking, security and the people around you will help you. And that's why I say the point about making relationships with the people around you, getting to know them, is very, very important. Most of the time, most of the crowds I've been a part of, everyone's been amazing. They really have been amazing. Like, it's like a hive mind. If somebody's not comfortable, people immediately know, and they will try to do everything they can to make you feel comfortable, to try and make you feel better. Fun story, and this isn't me gloating, but it is a little bit. I went to see Fall Out Boy. Yes, I was an emo child once. It was a phase. That was a phase. The goth thing isn't. But Pete Wentz actually came down into the audience. He went down the barricade and I shouted at him at the top of my lungs, "Come back!" He turned around, looked me straight in the eye, came over, held my hand, and then he went back up, and I just lost it. I had a massive breakdown. But security kind of caught on that I was crying, and they came over and they said, "Do you want to leave? Are you okay?" They were phenomenal. They really, really were. So you are in good hands. Please just don't panic. The next one is also really important. Do not compromise your health for your enjoyment. Accidents happen. They happen all the time. With a lot of people getting excited, it does happen. I have seen plenty of people rocking out with a dislocated arm. To be fair, it was pretty metal to watch, but it was also really, really unnerving. If you're unwell, if you're mentally unwell, if you're exhausted, if you've had enough, do not push yourself until the end. That is the last thing you can do, and say that it's for your enjoyment. Honey, I know it's not. I know you don't want to be a burden, but you are important, your enjoyment is important, and your well-being is important. So don't ever compromise your health, physical or mental, for your enjoyment, because that is not okay. Most of the time, specifically it's a festival, a lot of the artists, they do gigs, so it's not going to be the last time you're going to see them, unless it's a farewell gig and then I've got nothing for you. I'm sorry, but most of the time they come back. Motley Crue, I'm looking at you. Kiss, I'm also looking at you. Please just calm down. I worry for you. But yeah, please just look after yourselves, guys. I know I keep saying it and I sound like a broken record, but please, 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 don't take it too far for your own benefit. Do what makes you happy. Yes, I thought that would be obvious from the get-go. However, a lot of people don't do this. If it is your first time, and I've been guilty of this, I have compromised what's made me happy for the enjoyment of others, also to make me seem like I'm basically not a wet blanket. I don't want to say the P word because this is a family channel. We don't like it. We don't like that word. We also don't use the C word. That's bad. But my point is, I didn't enjoy festivals nearly as much as when I decided that no, I wasn't. And this is probably going to go against what I said in the beginning, and I hate that so much. However, after I got comfortable with my festivals and my gigs, I then decided I was comfortable enough to go out on my own and do my own thing. Download are wonderful. I don't know about the other festivals. I imagine they do, but a lot of festivals have an itinerary about what bands are going on, about what acts are going on, and sometimes, most of the time, half of your group don't want to see what you want to see, and you pay a lot of money to go to these things. Like, they're not cheap. So if you feel comfortable enough, go to the bands, go to the acts that you want to go and see. When I first started going off on my own, I didn't necessarily go to the front. I'd always stay further at the back. Then I know I was safe and I could just walk away and I could go and find my friends somewhere else. Now I will talk to anybody. I really will. If you see me at Download next year, please come and talk to me. And if you do feel uncomfortable, myself and Gareth, we will adopt you, because the last thing I want to do is see anybody that's not enjoying themselves and feeling uncomfortable. I will be doing a lot more Download videos in the future, so please don't worry about that. They are coming your way. But your happiness is paramount. Doing a gig, doing an event, an experience when you're not happy is the worst thing ever, and it taints it, and then you question whether you want to go again. It sucks for everybody. So for example, the first gig I went to for Alice Cooper, I went with my ex, and it wasn't particularly nice for me. He wasn't the nicest person, so that's besides the point. It's important to know who you're going with, who you feel safe with. It's important to do your research, to look after yourself, to prepare yourself, and just prepare yourself to have a good time. Like, that's the best advice I could give to any future festival goer, gig goer, any music lover. Just enjoy yourself. Do what makes you happy, you know, because these experiences, they come around not very frequently. I've got to put my teeth back in. Not very frequently, and they're there to make you happy. The worst thing you can do is if you book tickets to go and see a band or an artist for the first time and the experience is not what you wanted it to be. So do what makes you happy. This is another quick one. A lot of gigs, a lot of festivals, particularly festivals at the front, if you've been there for a billion years when dinosaurs roamed the earth, they will give you water, free water. If you've got your water bottle, they will refill it for you. They will give out free, not shots, they're kind of bigger than shots, but they will make sure you're hydrated. So it's also important to prepare yourself if you are thinking about going to the front, if you are going to be there for a long time, and I will get into that very shortly. Incidentally enough, that was the next point. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for the long day, prepare yourself for a long evening. If you're going to a gig, wear comfortable shoes because you're going to be there for a while. The band isn't going to be the first thing you see. They're going to have a secondary band, a warm-up band, so you're going to be stood up for longer than you think you are. If you're not prepared for that, then please consider getting a seat instead. If you're going to a festival, the elements are against you. We live in the UK. For other countries who may be watching this, apologies, I don't know what the situation is weather-wise. I imagine in America it's a lot different, again in Europe, but wellies, stuff like that, you've got to prepare for it to rain, and you've got to prepare for it to absolutely like become a desert. I have had heat stroke so many times whilst I've been at Download. I've also had pneumonia whilst I've been at Download, so that should say enough. Prepare yourself if you're thinking about going to the front as well. So take plenty of snacks with you, take plenty of water with you, take your friends with you. Think about what you're going to do for the toilet. Unfortunately, a lot of people like to use bottles and throw it in the air onto other people. I'll just leave that one with you, but there's a very distinct smell. There really is a very distinct smell. I'm not trying to put anybody off, I'm just trying to throw out the truth, and sometimes the truth smells a lot. So please think about what you're going to do for the toilet wise. Also, ladies, if you are on, unfortunately, sometimes the front isn't for you. Sometimes you just got to deal with being at the back or being closer to the side where there is a toilet readily available for you. There is nothing worse, and this is going into detail. I don't care. Most of us are adults here, and I'm going to go with it. I have had a situation where I have been caught off guard. Ladies, you know what I mean. And I was at the front for Queen of the Stone Age, I think. Something like that. It was either Queen of the Stone Age or Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie's very good. But yeah, I was caught off guard, and unfortunately I had to lose my spot at the front because I needed to go and check myself out. So yeah, that's another big one. But yeah, prepare yourself. It is so important to prepare yourself. Make like a mini packed lunch with each other. It's so fun to do that, and you can kind of have like a stood up packed lunch whilst vibing to different bands and different artists whilst you're waiting for your favourite artist. It is a lot of fun, but you know, just be realistic and prepare for all elements. I would say take a poncho or a rain mat. Buy one before you go to the festival or wherever you're going. Do not buy one at the actual festival or gig or wherever you're going, because they will rob you blind, and I am not wrong, and you'll know it, okay? Prepare yourself. And this is moving on to a similar point. Wear suitable clothing. Please wear suitable clothing. Research into weather reports, particularly if you're going into a festival. Again, you're going to have to prepare for all types of weather. If you go into a gig, not so much. Mainly I would just say for gigs, wear comfortable shoes. Ladies, I know we like our corsets. I really do. But might I suggest more elasticy kind of corsets that are a lot more friendly. Just, I know we all want to look like that goth princess, we really do. I've been trying to reach that look for years, and thus far I have failed miserably. But do what makes you feel comfortable. There is nothing worse if you haven't got a car and you've got to get all modes of transport back to your home than just being really miserable because your feet are hurting, your back's hurting, everything's sticking into you. It's not a fun ride. Also at festivals, if you haven't got ponchos or anything like that, that's how I got pneumonia. Like, I literally took most of my clothes off, most of my layers off, whilst watching Slipknot, and the heavens opened up. I didn't care. I was in that vibe kind of space, and I got pneumonia, and it was horrendous. So please prepare yourself with what you're wearing. Speak to other music lovers. Yes, there is nothing more fulfilling and enjoyable than speaking to fellow music lovers, people who like the same music as you, the same bands as you, particularly if you're going to speak to a veteran, because they can tell you all the tips and tricks, like me. They can tell you what to look forward to, they can tell you what to be mindful of, they can tell you what the crowds are like. Anything. 9 times out of 10, and I've said that so many times, if you want to make this video into a drinking game, you're welcome. Most of the time they just want to talk. They want to talk about the music they love. They want you to have a good experience as well. Just talk to people. You can find loads of different forums. You can write comments on YouTube. You can go on Twitter, anything like that, and you can start a conversation, and people will love it and will love to help. Now, this is an interesting one. Read the room. So We're all out to have a good time. We really, really are. However, if you look to your right or your left and you notice somebody that's not necessarily having the best time, and I say this as nicely as possible, maybe think about the kind of energy you're bringing. Maybe think about if you're making them feel uncomfortable. Ask them if they're okay. There is nothing nicer than being asked by someone if you're okay. I have had plenty of situations where I have been on my own at the front or in a crowd somewhere, and I haven't had any of my friends with me, and someone's asked me if I'm okay, and it's made the world of difference. I'm just going to leave it there, but please be mindful of your fellow music lovers, your fellow festival goers, gig goers, wherever. Just be mindful and think about their comfort and their safety as well, and build that relationship. If you see someone who kind of looks new to the crowd, if they look like they're not really knowing what they're doing, if they're anxious, if they will allow it, take them under your wing. Always do it with consent though, because if somebody says I'm all right and you're still worried about them, and if you keep poking, please don't do that, because it will make people feel a lot more uncomfortable than you mean it to. So yeah, read the room. And the final one, look after each other. This news has hit the music industry hard, the gig lovers hard, the crowds hard, the festival goers hard, everything. We're basically one big family when we go to different gigs and festivals. Every festival, every gig I've gone to, I've made such wonderful acquaintances. Unfortunately, quite a few of them I haven't been able to keep in touch with, but I hope to change that next year. I really, really do. Yeah, people just want you to have a good time, but the last thing we want is for anything like what has happened to happen again. We really don't want that, and it is important for people to look after each other. Things are hard enough in life as it is. I feel like the world has become a darker place at the moment, and sometimes music's all you've got. It really is. Like, it definitely brings me out of the funk. It definitely makes me appreciate things a lot more, and going to a music event with like-minded people who are nothing but wonderful, have nothing but my interest at heart, yeah, it means everything. It really does mean everything to me, and I can't wait to get back amongst everybody. I can't wait to get back to Download, to start going to more live events. I really can't, to be back amongst that atmosphere again, to be back amongst my family again. Download is my family, it's my spiritual home, it is everything. Same as the Ghost crowd in Nottingham. I met these two lovely goth girls. They scooched over a little bit so we could be at the front, and it was absolutely wonderful. They didn't have to do that, but they did. There was a lovely fellow, and I'll never forget it, when I was at my first Alice Cooper gig, he turned around and noticed I wasn't having such a great time. He didn't know the situation, so he was like, "Smile, you're going to see Alice Cooper." And it made me smile for like 5 minutes. You know, I kind of forgot everything that was going on, and it just made the world a difference. So yeah, just look after each other, stay safe out there. To people who are going to gigs now, please stay safe. If you've watched this video, I hope it's helped you. New people who are going to gigs, festivals, so on and so forth, try not to be too frightened about what's happened. Please, please, please don't. It's very, very rare that things like this happen, and we all just want to look after each other and have a good time. So to people who are going to new musical experiences, new music experiences, I really hope you enjoy them from the bottom of my heart. Let me know about your favourite music experiences, your favourite festivals, your favourite gigs. Please let me know. I'd love to build that community. I haven't really talked about my music tastes on here a lot. I have a very broad spectrum, very, very broad. I'm obsessed with Ice Nine Kills at the moment, and I can't wait to see them at Download. As you guys probably know, I did a podcast with Spencer, and he was just well, he was just a dream, wasn't he? Of course he was. But it was wonderful. If you want to check that out, I will pop that in the description below. But I hope this video has helped. I don't want anyone to think I'm capitalising on this. That's the last thing I want to do. I was genuinely thinking about doing this video next year in preparation for download, in preparation for the festival season. However, I think it's important and integral for people with experiences to share their experiences with other people, particularly people who want to start going to these kinds of things, to show that it's not all doom and gloom, and we do look after each other and we take it very, very seriously. So again, I really, really hope it's helped. Subscribe, please subscribe. I would love to have more music followers following me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to the 412 people who have stuck with me during my quiet period. I may go into more depth about that in my next video, which will be my Vans unboxing. I can't wait. I love doing unboxings. It's what I started this channel on, along with my scare acting. But yes, I hope you've had a good day. If not, that's okay. Always remember, tomorrow's a new day. See you later, guys. Bye.